Hey guys, Mark Flockhart. Today we're going to talk about where an insurance agent is going to max out doing this on their own. If you haven't watched the video previously, I will link that in the description below. Make sure you go watch that first, come back and see where we're at. Essentially, we're talking about, and we showed you how an insurance agent will make $100,000 in their first 5 to 6 years plan. Now that's me being a little bit proactive. Some agents you're going to see on YouTube where they're going to make $100,000 their first year. I was one of those guys that was right on that cusp and probably likely even did if I looked at the 401 or at the pay stubs. But it's a little bit more difficult than you think in the P&C industry. And that's what we're focusing on is the P&C, the personal, the property and casualty life. We showed you that the 100,000 mark, how to get there. And there's activities that we're going to do in some future videos. So subscribe if you want to watch and learn how to get to those activities to essentially make that income. But let's talk about where you're going to cap out. There is no ceiling. So you can go as high as you want. The problem you're going to run into is essentially picture yourself in one of the most powerful trucks. Once you get enough mud under the tires, they're not going to be able to go anywhere. So once you get to a certain level in this industry, you're going to only write so much business over the business that you lose. I've come up with a calculation where I found that I think that level is. So let's go right into it. So if you're going to write, we're just going to use our superstar just to get there quickly. So this guy's writing $60,000 per year, per month, which is $720,000 a year, and they're going to lose 10% of that each year. Okay, it's kind of closer to 15. So 15 or below is good. Looks amazing, but once you see that you lost 108,000, there's a little bit of tears, a little bit of teardrops that come out of your eyes. So now you're down to 612,000. Okay, so that's your net. You've got 612,000. You're roughly making, that 50, 60,000 a year on your second year. Now, you want to build this as quick as possible. So this is year one. Now by year two, you're going to add that same amount. You're going to do 720. So you're 1,332,000 in premium. Okay, 1.3 mil. Okay, that's a really good couple years. We're gonna say that this is year two. So you're already rock star status. You came in the door swinging. You knew what you were doing. You were successful. You wrote $1.3 million in business. Now you're going to lose about 15% of that. So another teardrop. We just lost 199,800 in business, which leaves us fairly comfortable. We're still 1.132 and 200, whatever the case is, million. We're going to leave the 200 off. Okay, not bad. We're actually doing pretty good. So this is now year three. Assuming that we continue this rock stardom, we are still writing 720,000. Okay, we're 1,852,000. Pretty decent. We're going to lose 277,000. Oh, it hurts. 830, which is going to leave us with 1.574, $170 million. $170. So we're now at 1.5. So notice that when we were here on year 1, 2, and 3, we're now moving on to year 4, that we wrote a bunch. We wrote 720,000. We, on our second year, had a huge increase. We literally just doubled minus a small 15%. So we were at that 1.3. But now that we've got such a large book of business, when we lose that 15%, this 199,000 right here, that hurts. If you imagine, that took a good chunk of what we were writing. That's almost 20% gone. Now this next year, year 3, we came and wrote at 720 again, but now we lost from 199,000, we lost 277,000. This actually isn't a bad loss ratio, even at 15%. Some people, I've had some guys I've dealt with, and they are only a 5% loss ratio or loss retention. So a 95% retention rate. And that's amazing. Like, those guys are great, but I find they don't move as fast. Those guys aren't hitting the 60,000 every month. Okay, if you're focused on the sales portion, you've got someone in service, they're helping you out. You might even have another sales guy helping you out. But the fact of the matter is, you can't do this 60,000 plus on your own. Okay, you're going to need some help, or you're not going to get that 5%, that 95% retention. You're going to have to accept the 10 to 15% retention. If it's 20, it's even worse, right? We're going to lose this. So year 4 is when we start to get to this. So we're now getting into these big numbers. We write another 750,000. And that puts us at 2.324 million. Okay, now at this level, we've lost 15%. So that 15% is getting us up to $348,625 in lost retention. Okay, so here's where we're starting to lose some traction. We quite literally lost half of what we wrote at this level. Now, we're in year 4, but if we go down the path, we're not going to go all the way year 5 and year 6. You're going to find that year 6, 5, and 7, you're not going to grow as much. You're noticing that this number is slowly dwindling down because the effort that you're putting in isn't being lost. You're doing amazing. You're still a rock star, and you're making that upfront money, and you're making a lot of money on $2 million book. You're just not going to be going as fast. You're essentially getting your wheels stuck in the mud. You're the big truck that's flying down the road, but now you hit a mud patch. So to where you can legitimately work this business on your own, you're going to notice that by year 5 and year 6, it's almost like you're going nowhere. Essentially, you're going to be just below $2 million of a book. But at this, your year 5 being a rock star, this isn't your average guy. This is the higher than normal. But you're going to be essentially pulling in the 100,000 plus. So you should be making, at the minimum, you should be making $80,000. But in all reality, you're probably going to be closer to 120,000 or more based off of the book size that you have. Most likely at this level, if you're in a company that keeps you here, you're stuck. You're gonna hit the 120 to 150,000 before you cap out. Okay, so that ceiling is there, but it's a glass ceiling. It's only going so far. It's gonna hold you back the further you go. Now, don't let that depress you, because if you're making $150,000 a year, I think you're in a pretty good boat. You probably bought a boat, so you're doing pretty decent, and you're not having to work as hard. You are, because you're gonna have to write at least these 348,000. So you're gonna minimum have to have 30,000 a month just to keep up with what you're losing. But if you wanted to go in coast mode for a month or so, you've got some time for vacation, you've got the money to do it, and you've got a book of business that essentially has built itself. Over time, if you just let it sit, it's going to dwindle down to nothing, but it's going to have a lot of customers that are with you for the long haul. And that's where you're going to start to lean out towards, okay, what's my next step? Do I continue doing what I'm doing, or do I add people to help me get this bigger? Do I get another guy and show him how to hit 60,000? Do I get a guy that can only do 40,000? I mean, essentially, you're building on more pipelines to this, to where now you're trying to double and triple and quadruple. And this is where you see people that are 5 to 10 years in this business, and they are making 500,000, $500,000 per year. Okay, essentially, they've created a team. They've got 3 to 4 or more people working with them. If they're hired in service, then they're paying the service. So there is some income and there's some paychecks that are going out, But overall, once it's built another 5 years out and they've had multiple people do this with them, then you're going to see that income go up and up and up. This is why, if you look back at the first video that I created in this 3-video series, I show you the plan I was with when I was with farmers. This is the reason that I left them, because there's no way I could have made more than 130, 140,000 a year owning none of my book. And I had to start over every single month. I was trapped in a wheel that was pretty good income, good company, loved the people around, to a point. There was a lot of stress, right? And there's still some stress here. I'm not sugarcoating this at all by any means, but just know that those are possibilities that are out there. Even if you start with a company now and you have to make the decision, do I give up my $100,000+ a year income to potentially build a $500,000 a year income? You have to make that call for yourself. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. I'm curious to see if I missed a number on here. I'm sorry. Just yell at me. I am not the best guy in the world for math sometimes, but I'd love to get your feedback. This is really the plan that I've really started to focus on, is to get the income to where I have 3, 4, 5 people with me that is building this income that can create and generate revenue where they're making money. I still want them to make on the plan in the video before, where they're making close to this 100,000 a year and they're happy with that. And if they're happy, now we're all good, because I've got enough money that I can pay for whatever I want. We can have extra bonuses. We can have extra trips. We can donate more to our church. There's just a lot more options that are out there that you can build. Hope this was helpful, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future videos like this. Want your comments below. That helps me the most if you hit the thumbs up. I'll see you soon.